From the new recording lair located deep beneath the Wine and Spirit store in Ephrata, Pennsylvania.
You're listening to the Masonic Light Podcast.
Studio 665 presents Masonic Light Podcast. This show is recorded by Masons, for Masons, and is for entertainment purposes only. And please, no wagering.
This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. And now, here's your host.
Hey, everybody. It is Tim with Masonic Light Podcast.
Tim who?
Yeah, Tim Dedman.
What?
Yeah, and we are chock full of guests tonight. We have a full house here in Studio 665.
Fire marshal is pulling up outside.
Yeah, don't
right
anybody
now.
tell the fire marshal. Well, they're at the parade down the street anyway. So
That's the Halloween kitty parade, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good here. All right, episode number 164.
Can you believe that?
164.
Talking to your mic, Larry.
Cannot believe it.
See, I told you.
I was looking at Jack. Can you believe that?
I told you.
All right, 7 years we've been doing this, Larry. 7 years.
I love it. Tonight's episode is brought to you by our sponsors, George J. Grove and Son,
Jidge.
Hiram Solomon Cigars, Scott Helm Electric, Masonic Timepiece, and Intermezzo by Stephanie.
There's still candy over there.
Yeah.
What? No, there's not.
Oh,
Yes, there is.
Is it gone?
No,
Yeah.
it is.
We also want to say a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. You too can be a Patreon supporter for as little as $1 stinking dollar per month. Go to patreon.com/Masonic Light Podcast to keep fine content like this thing going. Tongue in cheek, right?
No joke. I mean, it's there are expenses. We've got to get new headphones for everybody, and
Yeah.
we've got stuff to spend money on, and we really do appreciate everybody that contributes to the show. What is Larry talking about?
Is Mike working?
Somebody's mic's not working.
I can't hear
Is
him.
my work?
Yeah,
Hello,
it's working.
hello.
Tap,
Okay,
tap.
all right,
Am I-
okay.
am I right?
Sorry.
What?
Might have to turn Larry's headset up.
My wife has been telling me I need hearing aids, so I'm sorry.
Well, that could be. Anyway, just in short, we appreciate you.
We really do.
Thanks
We
for being
really
there
do.
for us.
Appreciate it for how many years, Larry?
What?
How many years have we been podcasting?
8.5.
No, we have not.
7.
April the 4th, 2016.
That's correct. Yes.
We had to write it
4
down so
plus
we could look at
3
it.
is 7.5.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. There
Yep.
we put it
I
on the
agree,
wall
I agree,
over there
I
for
agree.
you to remember. Can you see that?
No.
Okay. So, as I said earlier, we are chock full of guests tonight. We are joined tonight by Brother Tyler Whittaker, Brother Dave Hosler, Dr. Heather Calloway, and our guest of many episodes, Seth Anthony.
We can also
He's
say
our ghost host.
that
Ghost
Dr.
host.
Heather Calloway has been on our show several times.
Yes,
as
she has.
Well, one of our all-time favorites.
A recurring feature.
Thank you.
But Larry,
What?
this is her first time in studio.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you just overwhelmed by the quality of the studio?
I can't believe
It's
it.
amazing, right?
It's so amazing.
You have to talk into your microphone.
All right.
She did get, in her defense, she got the cheap
She
chair.
did get the she got the short
cheap
end here.
chair.
She really did.
No. It's amazing here.
We have fun.
We do. We have a lot of fun.
Somehow Josh manages to string it all together into a show. So
And people like it.
Yeah,
I guess.
they do, don't
That's
they?
scary, isn't it?
Are you sure about that?
oh, you'll do fine.
She's gonna do just fine tonight. All right. What have we all been doing Masonically for the last couple of weeks? Larry, you've got some significant stuff.
Well, yeah, I do. I complained about
Everything.
going to conventions
everything.
and everything. Well, everything, yeah. I attended the Tall Cedars Convention in Ocean City, Maryland last week, 4 days, which I thought would be hellacious or hell. and actually turned out to be very good. Enjoyed the devil out of it, and that's a first.
But you said you didn't like attending those things.
I don't. I do not like them. You're absolutely right. I can't stand them. But
He's actually
this one went
changing
very
his
well.
mind.
And the hospitality suites on Friday night were superb, to say the least. So had a great time. So anyway, that's my big focus was spending 4 days at Tall Cedars. And this is my last 2 months of being Grand Tall Cedar. So thank God for that.
Seth, is your
That's
car
it.
alarm going off?
Fine.
Okay.
I think
Jack?
it's Larry's.
No, he's with me.
Are you sure?
All right, Jack.
I'm going to see if Seth is willing to run out and look into the parking lot to see whose car is. I'm the white Subaru. I don't know if it's mine or not, but. Okay.
All right, Josh can do
Whoever's
a quick
breaking
edit.
in.
Some random vandal just out.
Just in time for me to get up and look, it stops.
Of
Thank
course.
you. Thank you very much.
All right, take two.
Take two on things that I've done.
Jack.
I really haven't done a whole lot. We had stated meeting. I did speak at the Day Lodge. I think I mentioned that at the last show. I did my Holy Saints John talk at the Elizabethtown Day Lodge. And then shortly after that, I went down to New London, Pennsylvania, and did the same talk down there. And I'll tell you what, it was a beautiful lodge. It's small, tiny lodge, but the guys were just super receptive. It gives evidence of the fact that we haven't really talked about symbols and meaning and depth for a very long time. And I throw something out that shows them that there's more to this than a bowling league. And they were really receptive to it, and I really appreciate them for having me down for that. But that and the regular mentoring that I do with the new candidates, and that's kind of my world.
Cool.
Is that
All right.
enough? Should I say something else?
No.
Okay, I'm confused. Okay.
Well, you're selling tickets, I understand. We can talk more about that later, but
yes,
it's kind of an ongoing project. All right, Brother Bill, how about you? Dave.
Bill.
Bill, Fred,
Fred.
Joe,
I'll answer to
whoever
whatever.
you
All
are.
right, headphones are off. He's storming out the door.
There we
I'm
go.
out.
Dave. Sorry.
I don't know,
It's on the script right here.
It's yeah. It's been a busy few months. I've spoken at some lodges. I've run some ritual workshops. I've done a few things. I don't know. It's kind of been chill, kind of been busy. It's one of those, weird, like coming back from being dark in the summer, but I had my first experience of having to assist with closing a lodge, which was not a fun experience, right?
Oh,
It's
closing.
closing.
Truly going dark.
Like I walked out with the charter and stamp. And, so it was it was one of those.
It's a sad day.
It was a sobering feeling
Yeah.
of like, this could happen to anybody type. So,
Wow.
but there's been a lot of positive too.
Good.
Cool. So,
Good.
yeah,
Tyler. I got his name right.
you can be Bill too.
Can we call you
you can
Bob?
be Bill.
Yeah.
Somebody
I
in
can be
this
Bill.
room's got to be Bill.
Obviously, most recently preparing for Saturday's Symposium. Also, the Indianapolis Valley of the Scottish Rites Fall Convocation will start November 10th, and I'll be participating in the 18th degree. So we've had a few practices lately for that as well.
Awesome.
This past weekend, I actually got to give a test run of Saturday's talk at Indiana's first, hopefully annual, Masonicon. It was hosted in Hope, Indiana. So that was good. Kind of dust it off, get a test run before Saturday.
So we're not getting the original.
Sorry.
Oh man,
You-
it's a used speech.
It's been modified since Saturday.
New and improved. There you go.
So I guess
right.
technically, yes. You
okay.
are, you're
All right.
getting
As long as
the
it's fresh. As long as it's fresh, it's good.
18th degree, right?
Yes, sir.
18th, yeah.
We call them plays here in Pennsylvania.
Well, you call them plays.
I call them skits, but
That's okay. I could go places now, and guys are referring to them as plays.
yes.
Yeah. So I understand the Valley of Indianapolis also got a Valley of Excellence Award this past year.
I believe you're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're watching you.
Yeah. They've got some good things there. So I want to talk about the Big Valley getting its third consecutive.
Oh,
one.
stop.
There it is. There it is. All right. Seth, make your way to a microphone while Heather tells us what she's been doing fraternally.
For what time period?
The last, let's say, month.
The last month.
Well, you have 30 minutes, so go.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, we hosted at the Center for Fraternal Collections and Research, we hosted the Scottish Rite Research Society Symposium. So that was cool because it was the first time it's been in the northern jurisdiction, and that it was held at IU, so at our new center. So we, the week before, we opened our first fraternal exhibit. So it's called Linked Into the Lodge, and kind of the original social network, and kind of an intro for people that don't know anything about.
I'm on my way.
Larry loves a Tall Cedars Pyramid.
Yes.
Their hats.
All right. Seth.
So I don't know about other jurisdictions, but in Pennsylvania, it would appear that... I was too close to the microphone. I know they're leveling.
No, you're good.
It would appear that we have to make every Masonic event occur in October or March, because October is we want to do stuff in the fall, but then holidays come, so everything has to be in October. And then March is we've all been hibernating like groundhogs, so quick, get everything done in March. So my October has been crazy. Last weekend was 4 events, and then I'm meeting Monday night, a meeting Tuesday night, and then I have some Indiana folks here for the rest of the week for the Academy. So It is October in Pennsylvania Freemasonry.
Yeah, baby. All right, Josh.
Not really too much, just podcast stuff and past masters meeting, but that's it.
Are you fomenting rebellion? And
Are the rumors true that you're going back in as worshipful master?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. I guess we can dispel that rumor, at least for another year.
Killed it dead. All
right. So let's see. What have I been up to? The Valley of Harrisburg's Children's... All right. Stop it. The Valley of Harrisburg's Children's Dyslexia Walk, supporting that organization, occurred last Sunday. It was a great turnout. It was a beautiful day. Had several people out walking, raising lots of money. Just a fun day by all.
Now, did you walk or did you sit under the tent and distribute
I did
beverages?
walk a short distance, but I did end up in
the men's room.
No, to the cigar lounge.
Got it.
Okay. But we still raised money. So Harrisburg Council number 7, where I am soon to be the Grand Poobah. We're moving right along. Lancaster Lodge of Perfection's reunion, which was actually a really good experience.
I heard that it was a good night.
They did something really different, which in Freemasonry is usually a good thing.
What did they do?
They actually did their reunion like a dinner club, like a dinner theater. They had dinner up on the floor of the auditorium. Larry's pretty sure that...
Larry's having a stroke.
Yeah, I was going to say, Larry thought there were probably several strokes that occur for people eating in the room, but they interspersed the degrees with various courses of the meal.
Interesting.
And it was neat. If they do it again, they're going to probably tighten some things up time-wise, but overall, I thought that was a really good experience.
They said they're going to put plastic on the floors.
What degree is the green bean degree, and what degree is the rubber chicken degree? Just for future reference.
It's chicken cold and blue.
Chicken cold and blue. That's right. But no, kudos to the Lodge of Perfection at Lancaster for that. Again, just they wanted to try something different, and they pulled it off, and I thought they did a superb job. Eureka West Shore Lodge number 302 held its twice annual Past Masters Dinner, and then the D. Malay Legion of Honor.
Oh, I forgot.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. So sorry.
They had their conferral of the Legion of Honor Sunday over at E-Town, and our good buddy Pete got that conferred upon him posthumously.
Yes.
Stephanie was there to receive it. It was a great ceremony.
Beautiful.
Very beautiful. Congratulations to all the recipients. And
props to the D. Malays that were involved in that
Yes.
ceremony, because they were spot on.
They really
very
were.
good.
They really were. Good job by all. So, all right. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk more to and about our guests.
While we're gone, log in to patreon.com/Masonic Light Podcast.
That's it.
And become a supporter of the show.
Come back soon.
Why choose George J. Grove & Sons for your next home improvement project? At George J. Grove & Sons, we've built our reputation on quality and trust for more than 50 years. From planning to materials to installation, George J. Grove promises a home improvement experience second to none. Whether your goal is reducing energy costs, decreasing maintenance, updating curb appeal, or simply increasing the value of your home, the George J. Grove team will recommend and provide solutions that stand the test of time. Call 717-393-0859 for an estimate or visit us at georgejgrove.com. There you go, kiddo. Sorry.
I can't even believe that this is real.
So, like 3 weeks ago, when he found out
real
you were
book
coming
with
on
your
the
name.
show, he's like,
I better write my book.
oh my gosh, I can actually give her, I need to get this published in a hurry.
No, that's been published for years.
He says,
It's the
he goes,
second one.
I've got to remember to bring one to the studio to give to her that night. I said, Larry, since we're going to the studio, why don't you bring it tonight? And then that way it's in the studio.
I've had it in the trunk of my car. So
I don't believe it.
No, seriously.
I think I've moved 4 or 5 times since we
You
first did
probably
that
have. You
podcast.
probably have.
Oops.
Jack, tell us about what these fine folks are in town for.
Well,
at least Tyler.
My understanding is they got lost on Interstate 76.
That's my understanding.
And they just kept coming east until they found Seth standing by the side of the highway. And no, there is happening this Saturday, the Academy of Masonic Knowledge at Elizabethtown, and they are here. Well, Tyler is here to speak. The other two are just sort of groupies, hangers on, if you will, and so they've decided to come in. So Tyler, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you come to this? How did you become a speculative Mason? And how does that reflect on your operative life? Because I understand that's the topic that you're
well, speculatively, I've been a Master Mason for almost 10 years. But operatively, my father is a monument man, if you will, cemetery monuments. So he had done that my whole life. So basically followed him around all through my adolescence, and after high school and some college, took up work at Worley Monuments with him. So
cool. Now that industry must have changed since when you were a kid. And
no, absolutely. I mean, the practices are essentially still the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's been a lot of societal changes since I was a kid. So yeah, a little bit of that.
You still carving things with like mallets and chisels and things, or
no?
You got the big CNCs and like
no, actually, for the most part, it's all sandblast.
Okay,
is how we do the engraving. We make a large rubber stencil with different fonts or carvings.
Mm-hmm.
Those are adhered to the stone, and then the whole stone sandblasted. So
cool. How did that reflect on your joining the lodge? Did you see any
no,
attachment?
I actually never made that connection. My dad was the master of Fellowship Lodge number 681 in Anderson in 1992 when I was 7. So I kind of grew up in the lodge as a kid.
So it wasn't the big secret that nobody ever talked about.
Well, my dad was pretty quiet, to be honest. He was of the old school generation.
Mm-hmm.
In 2014 is when I was raised, and that Thanksgiving before that, my cousin, his name's Adam Bollinger, he was the master of Saul D. Bayless Lodge in Fort Wayne. And he's only a couple years older than I am, and he started beating me up to, when are you going to join the lodge? Your dad would really want you to join the lodge. And, of course, I was like, well, he's never said anything. So again, at Christmas, beat me up, and shortly thereafter, I turned in a petition. So
awesome. And have you've been you are a past master?
Correct.
Or you're not yet?
I was a master of Fellowship Lodge in 2021.
So what are some of your other Masonic affiliations then? You said Scottish Rite? You're real
Scottish Rite, the Indianapolis Valley. I'm a member of Anderson York Rite, the St. John's Council of AMD in Noblesville.
So in Indiana, who wins the Battle of the Bands? Is it York Rite or Scottish Rite? Because I know Ohio is very hardcore York Rite, and Pennsylvania seems to be more Scottish Rite.
My feeling would be almost 50-50.
50-50.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Even
feels
up.
50-50. Yeah.
I enjoy both bodies.
Well, they give you something different, right?
Yeah.
Each one has its own
Feel.
flavor.
Yeah, I would agree.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to hear about on Saturday that the rest of the people listening to this will have missed.
Well, the title of the talk is Operative Masonry in a Speculative World, and which we can contribute to Dave Hosler. That is his title. I originally gave the talk at Dwight L. Smith Lodge of Research this past January after Founders Day.
Okay.
So,
You going to give us any tasty hints, or what should we look for in a? Wait. Okay.
Sorry.
What does that involve? What help us understand what to expect?
all right. Well, I will be carving a chunk of Indiana limestone on stage while I give my talk.
Cool.
So,
And then I understand that's going to be like what? Is there a raffle? Is that being given away? Or?
Seth set up a raffle. Anyone must be present to win, but one member of the audience will be chosen to take that home with them.
Awesome. Can I get somebody to palm my raffle ticket?
You have to talk to Seth on that one.
That's a Masonic virtue. I guess. I don't know. So what's the subject of your carving?
Well,
Or are you not allowed to talk about it? It's a secret.
I guess since it's will air after the symposium.
Exactly.
Right.
It is the symposium's logo. So it was my first attempt, honestly, at a raised carving. So kind of challenged myself and stepped outside the box. I'm pretty happy with it. Like most things, I would have loved to have had a couple more days. But I'm my own worst critic most of the time.
I think we all are. Yeah.
Tyler is being modest. It is a really amazing piece of stonework, and the lucky guy who gets to take that home is going to have a very cool piece of Masonic history.
That he's welcome to drop off at the studio deep beneath the wine and spirit store.
I think we'll pretty much all be there. So maybe we'll be in on that
a couple
drawing.
of shots at it anyway.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
increase our odds.
so what? Speculative operative masonry in a speculative world? Is that
Correct.
what I'm hearing? So what? How is the world speculative? What's the attachment there?
How is the world speculative? Well, the world being the fraternity.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Oh, I literally just threw out random words and they stuck together. Because we were
Larry does that all the time.
I do too. We were trying to come up with a title for his talk, or he was, and I just randomly blurted that out, and he went, okay.
Well, the first time I gave the talk, he gave me 7 days notice
5
to write
I don't
it.
remember.
So
Nice.
I literally came to him and I was like, look, I'm the master of, I think I was the master.
nope, senior warden.
I was senior warden at DLS at the time, and I was like, I need a speaker. We need a speaker. Somebody, I think somebody had dropped out or something had happened. And he's like, when? I was like, I don't know, next week.
So, needless to say, I spent the next 7 days in full panic mode, at my dining room table,
Cool.
bouncing ideas off.
Get your best papers done that way.
Exactly.
Because you know why? Because you finish them.
Yep.
If you don't have a deadline, like present at the Lodge of Research, you never bloody finish the thing, right?
100%.
Larry, how's that follow-up book coming?
Follow-up book.
Talking to the mic.
I'm finally working on it.
Book 2 in the trilogy.
The Red Gardner snake?
Is that like the guy that wrote the George Martin books where it's like 15 years later? He's like, maybe.
This was probably 7.
Is this one taking place in the Vatican by any chance?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's a good thing.
Because the last one, he ended up in some copyright trouble over the last one.
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay. I thought you did. I thought Dan Brown came after you.
Well, actually, and thanks to Pete. Pete was one of my advisors on the book, and he actually read the manuscript before anybody else did. So we both worked for the phone company, and I went into work one day, and Pete said, "Hey, Larry," he said, "you got a problem." I said, "What are you talking about?" I thought it was work-related. He said, "Somebody stole your book." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, some dude by the name of Dan Brown stole your damn book." I said, "What?" And of course, I ran out after work that night and went to the bookstore and I bought it. And I said, "Oh, Lord, he has a lot of things in there." So it meant a complete rewrite. So I can thank Pete for that. I would have had copyright problems like Dan Brown had copyright problems in England. Yes, of course it would have. It would have been endless.
What was that? Holy Blood, Holy Grail, right? They accused him, and then everybody laughed at them.
Anyway.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So, are you getting a lot of speaking engagements with this work?
Well, this will be the third time.
Okay.
Third time I've formally been behind a microphone. So yeah, no, maybe. This is all pretty new to me, to be honest.
Well, this is good practice being here tonight. Yeah.
Again, Tyler is being somewhat modest because he's also the creator of a stone that went to the George Washington National Masonic Memorial.
That's what I understand.
Ooh, do tell.
Talk about that a little
What's
bit.
up with that?
This past February, before that, past Grandmaster Michael Brumback, past president of the memorial, and my father were kind of going through the lines. Mike Brumback is from Anderson as well. He actually belonged to Mount Moriah Lodge just across town from us. So they were friends, and Mike was on the committee when they started, making the plans for the 100-year rededication. And he reached out to Brian and I to carve the cornerstone, the ceremonial cornerstone. So it, too, is Indiana limestone. The thing that is the most proud I've ever been laying over a piece of stone in my life.
Can't even imagine how much that must have.
Lots
absolutely.
of good
Cool
things
that
come
is.
from Indiana, you know that?
I would agree.
That's the
I would
truth.
agree.
Except the football team.
And basketball.
Our
Well,
football team is
I don't
so
watch
bad.
sports, so
Did you watch that game?
Oh, you're talking about the Ohio State game? Oh,
No, IU.
No, I did. But they're coming in here this Saturday to Pennsylvania.
I put money on Pennsylvania.
There you go.
Too.
Ouch.
Ouch.
I'm sorry.
Ouch.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I think we are going to take a quick break.
Dr. Heather Calloway works where?
We're Hoosiers.
There you go.
Who's your daddy?
I wasn't going to go there. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with more from our guests.
As far back as the mid-1800s, records exist describing the pre-meeting tradition of brethren smoking cigars during and after gatherings. To this day, the practice of smoking cigars remains very much alive in many lodges. This custom is considered a time for brethren to relax, exchange ideas, and enjoy the simplicity and fellowship that is the very essence of our brotherhood. This is what Hiram Solomon Cigars is all about. Our starting principles are to bring Masonic brethren together in the harmony of a good cigar. Pull up a chair, sit back, light up any of our premium cigars, and enjoy the history. Hiram Solomon Cigars can be found at fine cigar retailers. For a complete list, visit HiramSolomonCigars.com or check them out on social media to find out when they'll be at a live event near you. Hiram Solomon Cigars is pleased to be the official cigar of the Masonic Light Podcast.
Leave now.
Make it real weird.
We're back. want to welcome our wonderful guest from Indiana. We were just talking about some football and football teams and so forth. We've had you on the show. This is the third time, and this has actually been an official visit. You drove all the way in here.
To whom are you talking, Larry?
Just to be with us. I think that's fantastic.
Say
Thank
her
you.
name.
Say her name.
Yeah,
Say her name. Say her
Dr.
name.
Heather Calloway. I
There
thought
you
I
go.
said her name.
That was last segment.
Last segment.
That was 3 years ago.
Right. Exactly.
So tell us a little bit what you've been doing, because I think it's very important.
Sure, certainly. So with my colleagues, Seth Anthony and Mark Tabbert and Dave Hosler and some other friends, Brent Morris, we started a center for fraternal research and collections at IU. And so our goal is to save the history of these other organizations, because I know from working in a professional Masonic organization for 14 years, Masonic stuff's being saved, but all the other fraternal groups don't necessarily have a place where their records and things can go. So I am trying desperately to let people know that we're a thing so that we can save that history.
Very important work, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I have a story for you.
Okay, please.
So the other day, and this was a couple months ago, I got a message on Facebook. And I don't see that stuff unless I turn it on my computer. I don't have it on my phone. And so I happened to check to put something or answer a question, and a lady had messaged me on the center social media site, and she said, "Can someone call me?" And I didn't know, that sounds kind of sketchy. So I said, do you have a question or historical thing that you need? And she said something about, I really like to talk to you on the phone. So I gave her my phone number, and she called immediately. And she said, "I'm at my national convention, and we are voting to close the fraternal branch of our organization. Are you guys really accepting donations?" And I said, "Wow, what? And where are you calling from?" And sure enough, the United Commercial Travelers were having their national convention this year, and they decided and voted while she messaged me that they were going to close the fraternal part of their branch. They're going to move their insurance over to other insurance companies. Obviously, that part is easier, but they didn't vote to keep their fraternal branch. So their headquarters is closing as we speak. So they offered the items that are at the headquarters to the center. And so we've already made the first shipment. She actually drove from Wisconsin to Ohio, got a bunch of stuff, filled her car, brought it to the center in Indiana. And so that was our first batch of history that we saved from them. And I'm going to go out to Columbus, Ohio a few more times and gather the rest of that history, whether it's records, minutes, a little bit of everything. And really that's why we created the organization. And previous to the center, we had started the Historical Society for American Fraternalism and, made it more of a web thing. And then when I started working at IU, we added we could actually fundraise and better serve this if we partnered with a higher ed institution. So that's what we did. And so I brought her upstairs, and she sat in the center, and she looked around the room, and there's all these photos on the wall of old lodges and all these groups at banquets and all those, panoramic photos that you see in a museum. Mm-hmm. And we have them hanging around the center. And then there's, new donations that we've recently acquired. So old hats and robes and hats and just gavels, minute books, anything you can think of that you'd find at an old lodge was already sitting around. And I brought her and her husband in, and we sat and talked in the center. And she was like, "Wow, I made the right choice."
How did she find you?
She Googled.
Wow.
One of the things that a lot of people don't realize, you don't sit behind a desk 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 7 days a week. You travel all over. You're in a car.
Sure.
You're flying somewhere. I mean, you are extremely busy.
Yeah.
If I would call once a week to say hello the odds are you're not in there.
I have tried to get people. I don't even list my desk phone, and in fact, IU went to our phones now go to our computer, so there's not a landline plugged in.
Yeah.
So I can either route my desk phone to my cell phone, or I can route it to voicemail, or if I actually have my computer open, I can answer it there.
And you're a very busy person. Not only are you working for the IU, you're doing things. You're on the board for the Demulin. Oh, come on, help me.
Demulin Museum.
Demulin.
Very much.
I am not on the board, but I think
not.
Seth is. Our buddy Seth is on the board there.
Okay. But you're there. You go there.
I do work with John a lot.
Yeah,
We
you do.
collaborate.
Yeah.
I really try to promote his museum as well because he's specifically saving the history of the Demulin company. Versus I'm just trying to catch all those other things that don't have a place that's trying to save that history.
So how many fraternal organizations do you believe you've had contact with in terms of
only a couple so
information
far.
Okay.
So we didn't have the space or the means to start that yet. So I've mostly worked with one-on-one with collectors, people that have collected stuff their whole life, and now they're kind of, hey, I need to downsize. What do I do with all these things? The biggest population I work with is widows.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
I would understand.
Yeah. And that's sad to hear, but when I worked as Scottish Rite all those years, that's who would call me on the phone was widows, and they'd say, I don't know what to do with all these things, but I know they need to go to the right place.
Yeah.
See, I picture a big warehouse stacked up with cases and markings on them, and somewhere in one of those is the
Like that
Ark of the
Indiana
Covenant.
Jones.
Yeah.
Like CSI.
I was going to say he's
We
watched
have-
too much TV.
We have several places like that.
I see. I tell you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's the most unique piece of memorabilia or Masonic
Like fraternal thing?
fraternal stuff that you've come across?
I don't know about unique, but recently, maybe 2 weeks ago in the mail, I knew this was coming, and a guy FedExed me a Masonic apron, and it has a really great story and connection that he's been able to trace, and the guy actually lived and died in Indiana. So I thought that was an amazing treasure that we've been able to recently acquire, and it's from the 1800s. It's hand painted, it's silk, it's this beautiful Masonic apron. And textiles, which is an apron, they're our most fragile things. So if you have any kind of fabric things in your collections, keeping them flat, keeping them safe, dry, out of heat and cold and varying temperatures, those silk Masonic aprons they fall apart instantly. So he sent it all packed in this special cotton and flat, and then he kept emailing me, have you got it? Is it okay? I want to make sure it arrived.
So if one of our listeners came across, Grandpa's whatever apron, whatever, and wanted to reach out to the University of Indiana to contact you, how might they most quickly do that?
Certainly. So we have a website, so fraternalcenter.iu.edu, and or we're on social media, so Facebook and Instagram right now, and you can see our contact info there. And really what I try to do is treat everything case by case. So if it's something that should stay local, like if it was history from Philadelphia, I would really highly recommend that it went to the Grand Lodge as a first offer. And if they don't want it, I always tell them, please contact me back if you're told no. And then I'll either find them another place where it might be most suitable, or if we're the right place, then I'll agree to it that way.
Very good.
Just to be clear, this includes Masonic stuff.
Yes, we're trying
You're
now.
looking at other bodies, other
Everything
fraternities
else,
and
Odd
stuff.
Fellows, Knights of Pythias,
Okay.
all those other things over the years that have evolved. Some have kind of come and gone. Some are still around, but maybe in a smaller capacity. So I really try to connect with those other groups that don't have a place that's saving that history.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we've talked about on the show before is Freemasonry's been really lucky to be pretty well heeled, that we can have our own museums and many Grand Lodges have a library. Some of these groups were not well heeled, and they were pretty blue collar. Mm-hmm. And you don't see a lot of Knights of Pythias museums or libraries out there, or Odd Fellows, or even some of the smaller groups, the Knights of the Golden Eagle. Their stuff ends up in the dumpster behind the lodge because nobody knows what to do with it.
Right.
And that's somebody else's family history. That's something somebody else cared about. And just because Grandpa didn't have enough money to join the Masons, and he joined the Knights of the Golden Eagle instead, that doesn't make that history less valuable.
Right. I got a phone call from the son of a brother who was a member of a shrine offshoot, Quetzalcoatl. And he's like, I've got all this Q Club stuff. I don't know what to do with it. I mean, there's like, I don't know how many Q Club members there are in Pennsylvania even. And I've got a whole box of it. I said, bring it. Just bring it here. I'll figure out where it should go. So I'll show it to you when we're done. And if there's anything of interest, feel free. But they bring it to the lodge, mm-hmm. and we don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. There's only so much shelf space in any given lodge.
Right.
What
and
do
how
you
many
do?
Grand Lodges already have a bunch of old fezzes or 32nd degree caps or
Sure. Right.
whatever? And, again, they didn't want to turn away some widow that just didn't want to throw it in the trash. And
Right.
so that also, our most given gift ever is a Masonic Bible.
Sure. We have a collection of spittoons in our lodge.
We had those at the House of the Temple also.
I have one in my living room.
Oh. Does Carol know?
So, I just had a great idea. We should do a segment on the podcast of all these different fraternal groups that are kind of unknown to the world
wait a
around
minute.
us.
Whoa. We did that.
Oh, that's right, we did.
What?
Yeah, but who'd you talk
Obscurum.
to?
What was it?
Capura Obscurum.
We used to have a guy.
Larry never got that right.
Right.
Yeah.
He never got it right.
Oh my
Actually,
gosh.
Pete
It was
butchered
Moyer.
it a few times too. But we might need to resurrect Capura Obscurum,
We could just play the old ones again.
or we should come up
'cause
with a
they're
list.
obscure.
We should come up with a list of all the different ways that segment was referred to on the podcast.
Different pronunciations.
Oh my gosh! Go back and listen to some of the early episodes; it'll crack you up. I think we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to move on to our next guest,
We could get Heather to do that.
Brother Dave. We could.
Yeah.
Bill.
Bill.
Dave.
Heather.
Dave.
Fred.
Bill Dave.
Bill Hosler.
We'll be right back.
Hello, brethren. Dutchy Doug is here to bring you an update from my lodge, the Broken Plow number 377. October is here in all its splendor in our little valley. Leaves are bright colors, homes are decorated with pumpkins, and Old Man Knuckle Yuckle has 3 of those 12-foot skeletons in his front yard. They make me smile every time I drive past. Stand upright, as all good men should do. As a Mason, we all know the importance of that phrase. This month, the Broken Plow did just that. For years, many of our members had been complaining of back pain. Now, we could just chalk it up to a long day's living on a farm. Baling hay, milking cows, shoveling manure, that's some serious physical work. It makes sense that eventually that takes a toll on anyone's body. But weirdly, most of the brethren who would often complain about their back issues weren't farmers. Many brethren would often say to them, "Why don't you go see a chiropractor?" Many of those brothers would just shake their heads and mumble something along the lines of, what do they know? They just push around on your back and charge a hefty fee, only to ask you to come back again next week and do the same. Our worshipful master, Brother Amos Appleschnitz, had heard enough complaining and took matters into his own hands. At our October meeting, he invited his brother-in-law, Jacob Rickbrecker, a chiropractor from the next valley over, to talk to our brethren. Since Jacob wasn't a member, Worshipful Master Appleschnitz had him talk to the brethren after the meeting while we were enjoying some fresh pumpkin roll and apple cider. Brother Appleschnitz didn't tell anyone that he was coming either. He planned on ambushing the aching back brethren. After our meeting closed, We all headed downstairs to our social hall. The room smelled delightful. Cinnamon, nutmeg, and apples. Ah, fall. The brethren took off their coats, rolled up their sleeves, and started digging in. Just then, Dr. Rick Brecker came out from the kitchen and started talking about back pain and how it can be relieved. The brethren were caught off guard and had to sit and listen. Dr. Rick Brecker started asking them questions about their daily habits and even had a few of them get up and walk around. I guess he was looking for reasons as to why they might be in pain. I could tell from the conversations that nothing that the brethren told him made the light bulb go off in Dr. Rick Brecker's head. In fact, he looked quite stumped. He eventually offered each brother one free session at his office. Some of the brethren took his business card, while others seemed to dismiss him. As everyone was finishing up, Brother Albert Leaner got up, threw his trash out, returned to his table, and put his suit coat on and got ready to leave. All of a sudden, Dr. Rick Brecker ran over to Brother Albert. "Hold it right there, mister," he said. "Is this your suit coat?" "Why, for sure," Brother Albert said. Dr. Rick Brecker told all the guys who had back pain to stand up and put their suit coats on. 5 brethren stood up and did what the doctor said. The rest of us in the room put 2 and 2 together. As we looked at the standing brethren, we knew the reason they had such pain. Each of the brethren standing had their suit coats' left lapels so full of Masonic pins that it literally had them leaning to the left. Why, Brother Jimmy Stecker had so many lapel pins that it made a row down to his second coat button. D'una vera. Dr. Rick Brecker ran over and moved half of everyone's buttons to their right lapel. Those of us in the audience could visibly see our brothers start to stand straight up. One brother even let out an audible, "Ah." We all had a good laugh, and the doctor wished us all safe travels homes. As he went to the door, Brother Jimmy slipped him a petition for membership. The doctor said thanks and told him that he could stop by his office next week for a free adjustment, and they could talk more about the fraternity. Now, don't you lie. You know fellow brothers out there, maybe even in your own lodge, who do this too. My advice is to do what the good Dr. Rick Brecker did and help your fellow brother out. Move those lapel pins. Till next time, work hard, stay plumb, and out in the lights when you leave the room. To learn more about the Pennsylvania Dutch language, culture, and history, please visit my website, padutch101.com, or my YouTube channel. Just search for Doug Maidenford or PA Dutch 101.
And we're back, and we're visiting this segment with Dave Hosler. Dave,
Also known as Bill.
I thought it was Bill.
also known as Bill, but
Somehow I'm related to him. I'm sure.
You got to be.
He's from Indiana.
Yeah.
the police know him as Dave, so we'll just go with that. But last year in October, Dave spoke at the Academy of Masonic Knowledge.
I did.
Much as Tyler is about to do. And hopefully, I will record as much of your speech as I did his. I took notes on my phone.
I'm honestly impressed
from Dave's speech
Really
because it was impressive. It was 10 lessons of servant leadership, and I think it really struck a lot of chords with me because that's where we need to be. We need to teach people how to be leaders, and there's a lot that we don't do a good job of in Freemasonry.
I noticed that right out the gate, right? Like going through the degrees, I was kind of looking around the room going, all right, I can tell he's in charge, but who's the leader, right? And then when I finished my degrees and I was kind of looking for what's next, right? I was kind of looking to be led somewhere, and I got lucky. I mean, I had a fantastic mentor who understood leadership, and so I felt like I won the lottery, right, when it came to that. But I noticed as I started traveling more and more, because the man who was my mentor, he passed away this year, and a little aside, his wife passed from Alzheimer's. She got Alzheimer's at 50 and died at 60.
Oh my!
He passed not long, he was a couple of years later. But he was always like, get it right for me. And I was like, get what right? And he's like, my Masonic funeral service. So the first Masonic funeral service I did was his.
Wow.
And it was almost like if he could have planned it, which I always told him, give me 20, 30 years, I'll do it. But he was one of the leaders in our district, and Indiana's broken up into 10 districts. So we're quite large. In our district, I have almost 40 lodges that we're responsible
In your
for.
district? Wow.
Yes, yeah.
Whoa.
I think we're 36 or 38. I off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly, but it's a large swath of the state. And as my travels took me out further and further, the one thing I noticed as I would go to lodges was not all lodges, but there was a distinct leadership vacuum. It was, you could tell. Like, you would walk in, and a lodge that was working very well, they had leadership. You could see who it was, and things were working as they should. And then the lodges where they were lacking leadership, it was like they knew it, and they were looking for guidance, right? And I think that was the big thing of they didn't have anybody to guide them.
So when I joined, the secretary who was secretary had been secretary since time immemorial. And leadership was that he would hand the worshipful master his budget at the beginning of the year and say, this is what you're going to do, and that's that. And he was effectively the leader because anything that deviated off that budget wasn't going to happen. But it was good because there were certain things that happened because he knew they needed to happen. Like strawberry night and peaches and ice cream night.
Right, the historical things.
The stuff that, because for a lot of members, that was the only thing that they came to. And as soon as that broke down, those guys just stopped coming.
Well, when you lose that institutional knowledge, right, that historical knowledge, and which we are losing left and right, right, and it's, I kind of liken it to there's a this is going to sound weird, but there's a George Jones song. All right, and
He Stopped Loving Her Today?
He started.
Okay,
but it's called Who's Going to Fill Their Shoes, right? And I am constantly reminded of that song because every lodge that I go to, I look around the room and I'm like, who's going to fill their shoes, right? And when you leave it up to somebody that doesn't know anything, you can't be mad at them for not knowing, right? They've never been taught. So if they've never been taught,
no, that's Masonic osmosis. They're supposed to just know.
You're just supposed to just soak it up, just being in the room,
right?
And I think a lot of guys think that way, but I notice that when leadership changes, everything changes, right? When you have good leadership, you by default the Masons start being better, right? Just they start understanding what they need to do. Like as you go through the chairs, you get an idea if you're being mentored and coached, right? But a lot of guys sadly aren't getting mentored and coached sometimes. And so you get to that point where you're sitting in the East and you don't know what you're doing, right? You're just sadly some places you're a warm body filling a chair for a year, and then you're done and you walk out knowing exactly what you knew going in, right? But like those lodges where you're seeing that mentoring and those guys being taught how to lead, it is night and day. I mean,
it's a delicate balance because the old guys, of which I am now one, you have to step back and let the young guys do. But the young guys don't have that institutional knowledge, and there's a sort of and forgive me because you guys are all younger than me, there's a youthful arrogance. I can do this. I know how to do it. And but you don't know that September is supposed to be peaches and ice cream night, and you just don't have that historical reference.
No, 100%. And a lot of times what I see is the good mentor will guide up into that point and let them make a little bit of mistake, and then kind of course correct as they go, right? And it kind of, within a few months, you notice that exuberance is gone. Like there's more of a, I'm going to take a little bit of time before I make a decision. At least you hope, right? Because at the end of the day, all these guys have to make mistakes to learn, right? You don't learn if you're not making mistakes. If everything goes perfect every single time, what have you learned?
Right.
Nothing.
So you go into a lodge, and you, frankly, I think your assessment of this leadership vacuum is much more widespread than what you said.
Oh yeah,
It is all over the place.
And it's not just our fraternity.
That? Yeah. How do you take that? You go into a lodge and you recognize that. So what do you do to help kind of jumpstart that? How do you turn that around?
Tasers.
Yeah,
Tasers would work.
Sometimes that would work, yeah.
You know, the one thing that I noticed, because every lodge is unique, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every lodge has its own culture.
Yep.
Every lodge has its own history.
Totally.
And, you know, you can't just go in with a one-size-fits-all approach because it will backfire in your face quicker than you can blink.
Yep.
You know, the one thing is like all of your notes, right, that you took, like the one thing that I constantly go back to for anything in leadership is listening, right? Is sitting back and listening, not talking, not just soaking everything up and listening to their challenges, right? Before you can go, hey, maybe you should try this, right? Maybe instead of, you know, oh yeah, we assigned a coach, a mentor we were mentoring him. Like, what are you doing? Well, he's going to learn this. Okay, what else is he learning, right? Are you preparing him to step into an officer role? Are you preparing him to do something besides repeat some words back to you, right? Because that's not making a, you know, you've got to make these guys understand the kind of a holistic approach to running a lodge, right? It's not just the ritual. You got to get these guys to understand that the guy who's cleaning and the guy who's cooking and the guy who's doing dishes and, you know, the guy who's painting, like, you got to be able to work with all those guys.
It's all part of it.
It's all part of it, right? It's and so what I notice is every lodge being different. Going in and when I go to these lodges, just listening to them and saying, well, there's programs you can put in place, or you can, I don't know, take some basic leadership courses and kind of go, what's going to work for us, right? And really, going through the degrees, going through the chairs, you should have a pretty good idea of what's expected, right? It's but unfortunately, we kind of skip over that part. I noticed that we skip that part.
We check the box on the ritual. We say you've got the degree down pat, and that's it.
Do you know how to make a budget?
That's it. Well, and the budgets tend to be, quite frankly, I mean, the budgets are so fairly cut and dry when you take out what you're sending to Grand Lodge and what you're sending to the Hall Association to pay taxes and so on. And then so the discretionary parts of budgets are so small anyway because, frankly, our dues are so low. You know, my lodge currently has dues of $125, and it's probably one of the more expensive ones in the area. And frankly, I don't know how some of the lodges that charge a whole lot less do anything more than meet and have ice cream, and that's about it.
Well, those are lodges that you hope have deep pockets. Because if they don't, they're not going to be around for very long.
Yeah.
You know, you can't run on a shoestring for very long.
Right.
You know.
Well, so there's a sort of a thing that I say is lodges don't close because of lack of money.
Generally, that's true.
I've almost never heard of a lodge that went broke.
Right.
Right. They close because of lack of enthusiasm.
100%.
Lack of zeal. And that's a huge question is how you can't create zeal. You can encourage it.
You can encourage it.
But you can't ask someone to be zealous. You know,
what I notice is the lodges, and I constantly go back to leaders, but the lodges that have leaders, those are usually the men who can kind of almost light a fire under people. Because leaders, by default, there's this natural charisma that people are going to follow. They want to be involved, right? And you get a couple guys that can do that, you can turn a lodge around within a year.
Right.
You know, the thing is
but as soon as that guy's done
as he's done, right?
And he goes off into Scottish Rite and he goes in the lineup there, he's gone.
Real quickly, you can see a lodge start to falter.
Yeah.
Right? They start to stumble. But at the end of the day, I constantly, for every lodge I go into, if I'm looking to figure out the leadership problem, I'm listening. Like, I'm listening, because that's the one thing we don't do. You know, we always have solutions, we always have plans, but we never listen to anything that anybody has to say. And the people with the boots on the ground, right, the guys who are showing up at every meeting and they know the problems, they'll talk if you've gained their trust, right? But if you don't listen to them, you'll never find a good answer for them or help them come to the answer they need to come to.
What's really fascinating about this is, in terms of Freemasonry, is that, and I read a lot of older historical stuff, people were writing this same stuff since 1830.
100%.
Right? I mean, it's constant because the churn at the top happens every year, right? You lose that leader every year or maybe 2 or 3, but he's not there for 5 or 6 or 8 years. He's out.
And that's when you hope the past master, the past anything, right? Past grandmaster, past master, past give whatever body, right? You hope that they stick around long enough to impart some of that knowledge that they learned as they spent the years going through the chairs and then what they learned while they were there. You pray that that's the case. Unfortunately, some guys get to that point, they're burned out, they leave, and then you go, well, we're going to reinvent the wheel again.
Here's the keys.
Here's a book from 1850.
Well, I think part of that leadership conversation is, as you just said, when you complete your term in office, you still have a responsibility to that body. And
immediate past master.
On the one hand, you don't want the overbearing, well, we've never done it that way, so we can't do it. On the other hand, you don't need people saying, okay, check the box, I'm out, I'm on to the next thing. You still have a responsibility to that lodge.
And it's finding that balance.
Yeah.
Right? It's finding that balance of, I'm here to help that new worshipful master, but I'm not going to, even though I can see that this thing that he's doing is wrong, and he's gonna crash. It's gonna fail. But the beauty of failing in a Masonic lodge is there is nothing that will. Your life is not over because
that's right.
Like a degree went bad.
And you've got 60 guys behind you.
It's the best degree that candidate ever got.
And it's like, we screwed up, and you want to make every single degree better than the last one, right? But everybody has off nights, right? And so,
oh Lord,
those are the things of the balance between making sure you're not on that guy's toes, but at the same time making sure that you're present enough to go, hey, here's whispering that wise counsel in his ear quietly after the meeting, not standing up during and chastising.
You mean you don't run immediately to the east and with a list and
depends on the day, I guess.
There you go. Great topic. I mean, I would love to do a whole show on this conversation because I think it's so needed all across our fraternity.
Can I give one book?
Absolutely.
So, and of course, as soon as I want to say that, Alan E. Roberts wrote a book in 1969.
It's on the shelf out here.
Yeah. That book is fantastic. It is, and every time I do this, I blank.
I was going to say, any idea what the title is?
Alan E. Roberts wrote the book. Dwight L. Smith, past Grand Master of Indiana.
Key to Freemasonry.
The keys to Freemasonry.
Oop, there we go. Try that again.
The keys to Freemasonry's growth. I've had too many concussions. Alan E. Roberts wrote this book in 1969, I believe.
That is correct. Based on me.
Dwight L. Smith, who was a past Grand Master of Indiana, wrote the foreword, and every single lodge in Indiana got a copy of that book.
Wow.
I go to lodges, and I sometimes find that book untouched. And I will walk in, and I will point to it, and I will look for any man who's looking to start leading, and I will say, pick that book up and read it. If you're listening, you can find that book on eBay or Amazon for about $7. This man was writing this stuff that we're talking about now and have been for years in 69. Wow. And then he wrote another book in about 88, kind of complements it. But it's one of the best books if you're looking to become a leader in Freemasonry. It is one of the best books you can start on.
Wow.
So
that's great.
It's pretty fantastic.
But it's not the Red Serpent.
It's not the Red Serpent by Larry Maris.
That had something to do with Dan Brown stealing the
Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Keep those checks coming.
Also available on Amazon. All right, we are going to take one more break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to play Copious Dues with our guests.
In Masonic news today, at a recent festive board, the Grand Lodge of Southern Indiana was thrown into great confusion when the stewards announced that fare for the evening was ham and pineapple pizza. A fight broke out between brethren, and was only quelled when an emergency delivery of real pizza was received and the offending brothers were duly sanctioned.
Brother, singular.
In a related news, the Grand Master of Lower Chicago decreed that only deep dish pizza could be served at Masonic gatherings. That's the Masonic news. So mote it was.
Walter, that may be your most timely news ever.
That was amazing.
Ever. So there's a story behind the news. You want to tell it, or you want me to?
Go ahead.
So we're having our little pre-meeting, and we get a note from Seth that our guests are arriving just a few minutes later than expected. Could we pick up a couple of pizzas? And of course I said, yeah, let's do that. Tell me what you want on it. And so he said, get a pepperoni and I'll text you in a minute and tell you what we want on the other one. And so a few minutes pass and Seth goes, you're not going to believe this. A gluten-free ham and pineapple pizza.
We have on good authority that it was free-range pineapple.
Free-range pineapple. That's right.
Yeah, but
So-
you should have seen the waitress when we gave her the order.
She goes, are you kidding me?
Because she's
that's what
looking
they
at
want.
the three of us.
Yeah, right.
No.
You ain't never found a gluten you didn't like, Jack.
So,
I'm
it's
gluten
like,
enhanced.
all right, we're taking his man card. And, but seriously,
The best part of it, though, then Seth texts me again. For real?
in all honesty, one of the brothers here has a food allergy. And so thus the somewhat odd order.
Yeah, see, I could understand that with the gluten-free. And gluten-free dough is pretty darn
Yeah,
good.
but there's no
I've had
excuse
it.
for
It
ham and
really is.
pineapple.
But it's the pineapple and the ham that... Anyway, no problem, though.
Hey, I grew up on Chicago pizza, but when I found the amazingness that is ham and pineapple
Oh
put
my
together on
gosh.
pizza,
All right. Josh, edit that out.
it's heaven.
we have to-
It's heaven.
Just cut that out right now.
All right. Well, Jack, you know what time it is?
I think it's time for Copious Dues. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play a game tonight with our guests, and the whole house is going to play, where we, the hosts of the show, are going to guess how much each of our guests pays annually in dues. Now, this is just dues, not banquets and travel and all those other things that we're not supposed to tell our wives about. Just
Or spouses,
dues.
other spouses.
Wives or spouses.
Yeah, thank
Sorry.
you. Thank you.
So, here we are. Brother Dave Hosler. We're going to guess how much you pay in dues. So let's have it.
All right.
Tim.
I'm going to go with $935, Bob.
$935. Somebody write that down.
I did.
All right. Larry, what's your guess on how much Dave pays in his copious dues?
$635.
Ooh, he wishes it was $635.
No, Brandy wishes.
That's true.
Now, the other rule is you can't go over. If you go over, then you're disqualified. So, Josh, what do you think Dave pays for his copious dues?
$985.
$985. I think y'all are dreaming. My guess is $1,250.
All right, Seth.
Oh, I'm guessing.
Seth,
All right.
what's your guess?
Since I'm guessing, I'm trying to think of everything I know about Dave. 4, carry the 9,
Square root of
plus
3.
Indiana, minus
Hypotenuse of the
Chicago.
pizza.
Okay. Yeah, pineapple. What's the pineapple tax? I gotta
Oh my
figure that
gosh, I
out.
forgot there's pineapple.
Pineapple penalty
I need to
does not
subtract.
apply.
I need to
Pineapple
subtract.
penalty, IRS form 1024Q. All right, I'm gonna go with $12.95.
Oh, a little higher than mine. All right.
All right. So we have, I guessed $935. Larry guessed $635. Somebody guessed $900. Oh, Josh guessed $985. Jack, $1,250.
Oh, yeah.
And Seth guessed $1,295. Ooh.
So, Brother Dave, or Bill, or whoever you are, aka
The guy who eats ham and
how
pineapple
much do
pizza.
you pay every year in dues?
I am totally guessing, but it's somewhere in between $1,200 and $1,400 a year.
Ooh, that means Seth wins.
I'm guessing, and the only reason I'm guessing is because my wife is so smart. I hope she hears this. I have a savings.
Suck up,
right? You gotta get I have a savings account at a credit union, and my wife being my wife being good with money, because I'm not. I like anything shiny. I'm like, whoo, shiny, and I buy it.
Diesel trucks and all.
Diesel. I just bought a 1999 diesel truck because I wanted to. She moves money monthly in the tune of $25 to $100 into my savings account at another bank, so that when due season comes up, I just have to go, could you move like $500? I got to cover these couple of bodies. And she's smart. That's why
she knows.
That's why
you should call her and find out what that number really is.
That's why after 25 years, I'm still,
All right.
Next.
Heather Calloway. While not a Mason officially.
No, I'm not. Although
Is a
I
member-
sat in open tiled lodge with the Grand Master of New Mexico presiding. So
there will be.
That's like how Larry got the word of the chair.
Well, you know what that means.
He fell asleep in a meeting and woke up in the middle of the ceremony.
It means I'm official, even though I'm not official.
And so you say. However, you are a member of innumerable fraternal organizations.
Just two, but
well,
then
you run a museum of fraternal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm only a member of two fraternal groups.
Okay,
and-
so think about that number.
Yeah, but what about all those professional groups?
Professional groups don't apply.
Yeah.
Fraternal organizations.
But that's my job.
Sorry. No. Thank you for playing our game.
All right.
No. All right. So
here
you
we
got
go.
the number? Did you write it down?
All right.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Professional group. All right. Josh, how much do you think Heather pays to her fraternal organizations in her copious dues? Josh has to jog over to a microphone.
No, there he goes.
$375.
Oh, that's a number.
It is a number.
That is a number.
he's
Good
guessing.
job,
You said
Josh.
yes.
Well done. All right. Tim.
I'm going with $816.45.
And 45 cents. Well played, Tim. Larry.
$475. Now, if we'd allow her it'd be about $2,000. So,
All right. Seth.
How much do you think Heather pays in copious dues?
$147.82, Bob.
$147.82.
Woo.
Secretary Tim is writing this all down. And I think she pays only two. I think she pays $500.
So to review.
Quickly.
Josh.
People are going to bed.
$375.
Larry's already in bed.
I guessed $816.45. $475 was Larry. Seth guessed $147.82.
Well played.
And Jack guessed $500.
So, Heather, tell us how much you pay in copious dues.
Fraternal.
Fraternal only.
$65.
Whoa!
Get out of our studio right now.
But let me tell you.
Wow, we're all over.
So if you added everything, what would it have been?
Oh, no. You said that didn't count.
Okay.
So, you said.
Is my estimate close?
No. $65.
No. If you.
Oh, you were still low.
Still low.
Yes. Yes. But to shout out to my two women's organizations, I have been an Alpha Chi Omega for many years, almost 30 in January, and I've been an active alumni and advisor for most of the time since I graduated. And we are starting a new chapter in Bloomington, Indiana for alumni, and I am the president, and I was just appointed as such.
Nice.
So shout out to that, because it's a new initiative, and our national convention this summer is in Indianapolis, which is wonderful. We were founded in Greencastle, Indiana. So shout out for that. And then the PEO Sisterhood. And you hear about it, but you don't know about it. And we support higher education initiatives for women. So everything from scholarships to a college to other ways that we can help women that have maybe started school and couldn't finish because they had kids or other life circumstances that prohibited that educational track. And so we help them go back to college and finish and do those kind of degrees. And we also help people that are going straight into college out of high school.
Very nice. Great. All right, one more.
Tyler,
You're
one more. We got one more.
One thing about Heather, though, you're a Penn alumni.
Of course.
Of what?
I love it. Awesome.
Yes, University of Pennsylvania. I mean, we're in Pennsylvania.
Penn
You don't
Penn alumni.
forget.
He said Penn, blah, 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 blah,
Okay,
blah.
no, not Penn State. No.
Penn.
There's a difference.
Oh, I believe me, I know.
Uppin'.
Yeah, up and. Go ahead, Jack.
Tyler Whittaker. Tell us. No, don't tell us. But do you know how much you pay in copious dues?
All right. Here
All
we
right.
go.
Larry, how much do you think Brother Tyler pays for his copious dues?
$610.
$610.
$610.
Secretary Tim, write that down.
Got it.
Seth, how much do you think Tyler pays in his copious dues?
As a proud past master of Abraham C. Trichlor 682, I'll go with $682.
A guess with a basis.
All
Well
right.
done.
Gotta love it.
Well played. Joshua, how much do you think our guest Tyler pays for his copious dues?
$1, Jack Bob.
All right, going with the Price is Right strategy.
$1. A daring play by
There it is.
Josh.
Yeah.
Tim.
I'm going to go with $683.
Boo. Scottish range, York range, lodge, and probably 5, 6, 7, 6. I will say $720.
All right. To review, Larry had $610. Seth had $682. Josh had $1. $1. The cost of sponsorship on the Masonic Light podcast through Patreon.
If you're cheap.
I guessed $683, and Jack said, is it a 7? 700?
You wrote it.
I can't read my own writing. 720.
700.
Oh, 700. Okay. All right.
And 20.
Only if we could go back and listen to it. Yeah.
Who knows?
All right.
Much?
So,
I'll be wrong anyway. So, Tyler, tell us how much you pay every year for your copious dues.
$787.
we have a winner.
All right.
And 50 cents.
And 50 cents.
Got it.
Ooh, very good.
Rounded to the nearest 50 cents.
All right. So, Jack, you get your name on the board. Seth gets his name on the board. And none of us get our name on the board for Heather's.
No, you all went over.
All
Way
went
over. Yeah.
You assumed you were more involved than you are.
We limited
No,
ourselves out of the
I'm
guest
involved.
there. Yeah. All right. So, in the spirit of keeping people awake, we're going to limit our Around the Horn to one item that you want to highlight you're doing in the next 2 weeks. One item. Larry.
Goose and gridiron breakfast.
All right. Jack.
I'm assisting with the committee for the annual grand banquet for the installation of the Next Right Worshipful Grand Master in Pennsylvania. If you need tickets for that event, first contact your lodge secretary. If your lodge secretary can't help you, contact your district deputy. If your district deputy can't help you, then email me at jharley4, that's a numeral 4, at ptd.net, and I will help you get tickets for that event. I do understand that there is some availability for visiting the Old Lodge 43 for the special meeting of Asher Kasifia. So if you're interested in that, act quickly and contact the Grand Lodge. They are arranging that, so contact the Grand Secretary's office if you'd like to attend that. So that's what I got.
Dave.
In the next 2 weeks? Well, I'm here.
Huzzah.
After that, I'm taking a vacation until about the 18th.
Awesome.
So,
good for you.
Little Masonic vacation.
Awesome. How do you do that in the middle of the year?
I force myself.
A good idea, man. We'll have to talk offline about how you accomplish that. All right, Seth.
Saturday, November 3 or 4, whatever that first weekend in November is. Looking forward to being with everybody at the Northeast Regional Assembly of the Red Cross of Constantine, taking the Viceroy degree, but that's kind of the northeastern part of the United States for Red Cross. See lots of friends there from Masonic Week and other places, so if you're there, catch up with me.
Awesome. Tyler.
As I mentioned earlier, on November 10th and 11th, I'll be participating at the Indianapolis Valley of the Scottish Rite Fall Convocation in their degree work.
Awesome. Heather, what do you got going on fraternally?
Well, I'm not sure about the next
in the broad
2
definition.
weeks, but in a few weeks, November 18th specifically, I'm speaking at the Valley of Chicago and talking about how to save your fraternal stuff.
Outstanding.
Great title.
Well, that's not the title, but that's, you know.
That's it, generally.
It would be a good title.
It would be a good title, absolutely.
You should go with that title.
Josh.
Pass.
Oh, Josh passes. Okay, so I will call attention to
19 things.
No, one thing. I'm limiting us to one.
Yeah.
On the 17th and 18th of November, it's coming up just beyond the 2 weeks out, but the Big Valley of Harrisburg will be having its reunion. If you're in the Harrisburg area, come watch lots of cool degrees in the Big Valley.
Is that on PowerPoint?
No, it is not on PowerPoint. Not at all.
You mean live?
It is live.
In the NMJ?
With
in
humans.
the NMJ. That's right. Live and in color.
Oh, my goodness.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
All right. Before we release the chickens, I do want to say Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans coming up on November the 11th. Thank you for your service. And Josh, cut those chickens loose. Larry, get us out of here.
Special thanks to Effort Lodge 665.
Heck yeah.
Pronounced it that way. I did it that way just to make Jeff Moyer crazy. For allowing us to have this great group of people here tonight. Really fantastic. To Josh Lamberton, our producer director, for doing great work constantly. Because when you hear the show, folks, it's not like it was tonight.
Let's hope.
Jack Harley, our news director, who always does a bang-up job. Tim Dedman, our marketing director. To Michelle Snyder, Doug Maidenford, and Austin Schifrin, our Masonic Light podcast contributors. And to our listeners who always make doing this show worthwhile. This is Larry Maris. Thank you for listening, and have fun and do good.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Larry, I'm going to sign this for you.
Ooh, Larry. Wow. Well played.
Wow. She's not even using a Sharpie. Look at that.